Hello everybody, Lotu for Life here, bringing us a brand new deck profile, and today we got my Melodious deck. This has been my most played deck in this god-awful format, and I've been really liking it a lot. I've been doing pretty good with it. It's the only deck that I've been playing that I've been able to beat Snake Eye with. I can't fully say that I did beat Snake Eye once or twice with Raid Raptors back when I was playing that when their new stuff came out, but it wasn't as consistent as with Melodious. But I digress. This is my favorite deck that I've been playing recently. It's an old fan favorite deck of mine from Arc V. I love Arc V, and I love the fact that Yuzu's deck is finally like really good. I've tried so many times before the new support to make the deck playable, and it just really wasn't there. With the new support though, it's crazy what 5 cards can do. Actually, I don't even think it was that. It was, actually, wait, 2 Pendulums, a Fusion. It was 4 cards, right? Yeah, with Concerto. Oh, wait, no, 5 cards. Yeah, Magnificat, 5 cards. 5 new cards. What 5 new cards can do for an archetype. And I really wish Konami would do this more with older archetypes. I digress. Anyways, I'm not going to dilly-dally anymore. Let's get on to the deck profile, explain what I did, what my reasoning for card choices are with this. This is a deck that I've played extensively. I actually just recently took it to a pretty big case tournament at my locals, and I did pretty good with it. I played against Snake Eye 3 times in a row, and I beat 2 of them, and in the 3rd one, I only lost because at the time, I did not have the Agent Link monster, because the guy I bought it from just did not want to send it to me, I guess. So I had to make do with other ways to get around skill drain, and I would have won if it wasn't for not having it out to skill drain and my 2 Twin Twisters being really far into my deck. Anyways, I digress. Let's go ahead and get on with it and talk about what the deck is and everything. Granted, I think at this point I'm kind of late to the party, but I don't know. It's still something I want to share. So first and foremost, we got 3 of Refrain, the Melodious Songstress. This is the Stratos for the deck. On summon, she searches for any other Melodious monster from your deck. And then, of course, like the other scale, whenever you fusion summon, you can plop her from your extra deck into the Pendulum scale. Really good card all around. She does have another effect too in the Pendulum scale that you can use for graveyard setup, where once a turn you can target a Melodious fusion monster you control. It really sucks it has to specifically be a fusion. There have been so many times where I wish I could target my Link or my non-fusions, but anyways, you can target one of your fusions and then send any Melodious monster from your deck to the graveyard. Your Melodious fusion that you targeted gains attack times the monster's level 200. So you send a level 7, they gain 400 to 1400 attack. The only other thing about her is that she does lock you into special summoning only lights with the Pendulum summon, but that doesn't really matter. Everything's light anyways. So yeah, pretty good card all around. Not much else to say. And then we got her main duet partner here, compatriot, Couplet. Couplet is an absolutely ridiculous card and is probably the new, like, I didn't think of her as a Poplar like, but she really is. Whenever she's added from anywhere to hand, it doesn't matter if it's from extra deck, graveyard, field, deck to hand, anywhere, you can reveal her and then special summon any level 4 or lower Melodious from your hand or graveyard. That is a once per turn effect, but it's really good because like you can mill one off with like Refrain later on, and then like add it back some way on a later turn after you've already used her effect, and then just combo off. It's crazy good, and it's part of the reason why this deck is able to play a grind game. Also, another good reason why she's really good is that while she's in the Pendulum scale and you control no monsters, or all monsters you control are Melodious monsters, you can add any Melodious spell trap card from your deck to your hand. Now, at the moment, there's only 2 Melodious spell traps that have Melodious in name. They do have other spell trap support, but the overwhelming majority of them do not have Melodious in name. And she can't search those, which sucks. She can only search Melodious Concerto, which is the only one you play. I think the other one's called like Melodious Illusion or something like that. It's a garbage trap card that is hilarious in hindsight with how it was designed. But anyways, that's pretty much everything. She doesn't do much else other than also scale lock you in terms of Pendulum summoning only lights. But pretty good card all around. Next, I do have 3 Sonata, the Melodious Diva. This card is a not once per turn. You can just special summon her from your hand if you got a Melodious on field. And also, while she's on field, after you special summon her, all Melodious you control get 500 attack and defense. That does stack up, and it does matter. She is very, very good, and it's really funny. I have won games where it's just like, okay, normal summon 1 Melodious, spam out all 3. Everything's got 1500 more attack, swing for big damage. That does come up every now and then. The big thing though is she's a play extender, and a play extender in multiple ways. Like, really, really good card all around. Next, got a possibly controversial opinion. I'm playing 2 Soprano. Some people like to play 3, some people like to play 2. I'm on 2, and I've been really liking it. Soprano is a very, very good card for this deck. When she special summoned once per turn, you can add a Melodious from your graveyard to your hand, and then not hard once per turn, but just once per turn while she's on the field, you can fusion summon using face-up Melodiouses you control. So I think she actually also has to specify you have to use herself. Yeah, you have to use herself as well. So even though it's not a hard once per turn, it technically kind of is because you're getting her off the field. But there's so many ways to loop her and like resource loop her and get her back to hand and back on field. You can theoretically fusion summon off of 1 Soprano a good 2 or 3 times depending on how your setup is, and I have done that. She's a very good card, and I understand why some people play 3. The thing is that she's a complete and total dead draw unless you got your scales up, and actually that's pretty much the standard for most Melodious. Is the fact that Melodious has exactly 1 normal summon effect and everything else is special summon only. Really, really sucks. It goes to show that the deck's whole idea was you want to be special summoning these monsters. That's why their original boss monster, Mozarta, can just plop a monster on field once per turn, but like that's never been very good, especially when you don't have anything that you can really do when you're not special summoning. So yeah, that's why this deck is very fragile if your combos get interrupted, which is it can be fragile. It can be. I'm giving it tough love. I love this deck a lot. Anyways, moving on. Our one main deck. Maestra. There's 2 main deck Maestras. Mozarta is the other one I mentioned, and she's not very good. She's not aged well. Her literal only effect is to special summon a light monster from hand. I'm pretty sure she locks into lights too. But we do play Chopina, and Chopina, the Melodious Maestra, once per turn you can target any light in your graveyard, add it to hand, and you're just locked into only being able to activate light monster effects. And that is a not hard once per turn. So theoretically, you can loop her too, just like Soprano. It just doesn't come up as much because usually, if you can loop multiple Maestra, you're wanting to grab something else. But it does happen every now and then. She can grab back literally any light monster in your graveyard, which is really good. So yeah, just a great card all around. She sucks to draw, but at least now you got Pendulum Scales you can just freely summon her out with. Our next one of Melodious is Aria, the Melodious Diva. This one is part of the infamous Aria Elegy Lock. Yeah, Aria, while you control the special summon card, your Melodious monsters cannot be destroyed by battle or targeted by card effects. Very good card, kinda. She hurts sometimes, because you can't target... Even you cannot target your Melodious monsters while she's out on field, so you can't use Refrain's Pendulum effect, which really, really, really sucks, and is just, it comes up. There's been so many times where I'm like, wow, I really wish I could target my Melodious to bump its attack up a bit more and to mill another dude in my graveyard, but oh, I got Diva out, or Aria, I should say. That being said, she's like very underrated. Oh my god, if you already have combo in hand, you can totally just go first movement solo, summon Aria, and then proceed to do combo, because your opponent can't target your stuff, so you don't have to worry about let's see here, Imperm, Veiler, and Mourner, which means all you have to worry about is Ogre and Ash and Nib, which that eliminates 3 of the most commonly played hand traps at the moment. Nibiru is mostly a side card at the moment, and so is Ogre. So yeah, that really only limits down to like you having to worry about Ash Blossom while she's out, but it does happen. Anyways, moving on. For our last one of the Melodious monsters, in the main deck at least, I do play one Tam Tam to Melodious Diva. Very stupidly good card. So if she's sent to the graveyard for a fusion summon, you can have that fusion monster lose 500 attack and then burn your opponent for 500, so time card. But then also, not once per turn, if she is special summoned from anywhere to the field, and you have another Melodious monster on the field, you can add a polymerization from your deck or graveyard to hand. So she can loop poly so many times, and it's ridiculous. I know some people don't like playing Tam Tam, and I also know some people don't like playing poly with the Tam Tam. Some people just play Tam Tam, and heck, some people just side her for the time thing. But that being said, this is just such free advantage. The amount of times where I've been like, okay, I'm going to go for Tam Tam, get the poly, and then I'm going to go for my Link 2 discard off the poly for the Link 2 effect, and then, oh, I'm going to bring back Shapina and Soprano. I'm going to grab back the Tam Tam and something else. Then I'm going to pendulum summon the Tam Tam, get back the poly, so I discarded nothing. It's stupid. I love this resource loop, and I love this card. It's so cool. I wish more archetypes that were like poly reliant had a card like Tam Tam where you can just constantly spam poly from deck or grave. And the fact that he grabs from deck or grave, and so you only have to play one, I love it. If she only added from deck, I would not play her. Like, oh, I want to play with poly. She is a good time card either way. But anyways, moving on to the hand traps. Starting off with, I'll be honest, my least favorite. Herald of the Orange Light. This card is a big reason why some people are even considering playing this deck, because it is a very powerful hand trap most of the time. This card says, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you can send this card and one other fairy from your hand to the graveyard, negate that activation, and destroy that monster. Very good card when it pops off. And it's also very good for going first or second. You can use it to stop an Ash Blossom from stopping your Ostinato. You can use it to stop a Nibiru from wiping your board, so you don't have to waste your blink effect off of the Magnificat. Or if they're doing it before you get to Magnificat, you can use it to stop all sorts of stuff. And it is a very good card. I just find it dead in my hand most of the time. Usually by the time my opponent will try to activate a monster effect, I don't have a fairy in hand. Maybe that's just how I play. Maybe that's just my luck. But I've also barely even drawn the card. I could count on the number of times I've actually got to use its effect on one hand. And I'll be honest, I've straight up thought about cutting it. I got plenty of other hand traps, and I kind of wish I had more engine, because usually when I lose with this deck, it's because I don't open enough engine. I don't open enough Melodious things. I don't open enough ways to get a deck going. Or I just like brick on too many hand traps. And like, this card's great, but it's really only great if you have it plus a starter plus another fairy in hand. So effectively, you have to have 3 cards in hand, this included, in order for it to be good. And it just, it annoys me. If I were to cut it at all, I'd probably cut it down to like 1 or 2, just to open up space, especially since Shapina can add it back to hand, which is always funny. I love the fact that we went from Shapina add back Honest back in the day to Shapina add back Herald. I love it. It's something funny. Shapina can also, I believe, grab back, it's any light monster, right? Yeah, any light, oh, it has to be a light fairy, so you can't add back effect failure. I thought you could for a second there, but no, that doesn't make sense. So yeah, this or good old Honest from back in the day. I wouldn't recommend playing Honest nowadays. The archetype has an archetypal Honest that I've actually thought about playing, but anyways, moving on. Triple Ash Blossom, pretty standard, given stuff. It's like an absolute main deck staple for most decks. Then we got Triple Veiler to, we're in a tier 0 format. We gotta stop the snake guys from being able to play. Speaking of Triple Mourner, because we gotta stop the snake guys from being able to play. God, I hope this is not the future of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where everything's gotta play 15 hand traps in order to be functional. On that note, just because it's the only trap card that I do play, might as well show the last hand trap, and that's Triple Imperm. I side more, but that means, let's see here, we got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 main deck hand traps. And yeah, it's a given why there are times where I draw too many hand traps and can't play. A perfect hand is like 2 to 3 hand traps with like ostinato and like first movement solo. Or double ostinato. That's probably the better one, because then if your first one gets ashed, you can just plop another one down. I digress. I honestly, this kind of makes me just want to go back to Marincess. Marincess, I can play like 20 hand traps. Jeez. Anyways, the only thing with Marincess is now, thanks to Underworld Goddess, everything has an out to towers. I hate it. Moving on. Let's take a look at Ostinato. Ostinato's a broken card. I have jokingly said I half expect Konami to hit Ostinato, and I'm not joking about that. Konami loves to hit decks that are low rarity and cheap whenever they are good. It would not surprise me if on the next ban list, when they hit Snake Eye, if they hit Snake Eye, they also hit Ostinato. This card's broken. It's branded fusion, but not once per turn. It does also destroy the fusion monster that you summoned at the end of the turn, and you can only use it when you have no monsters on the field. But thanks to the new fusion, you can blink out your whole field for a turn and then do another Ostinato after that, or use their other big power spell, and that's First Movement Solo. First Movement Solo is literally E-Telly for the deck. If you control no monsters, summon a level 4 or lower Melodious monster from your hand or deck. You are locked into Melodious the turn you play this card. This was one of the original cards released for the archetype, alongside Aria, Mozarda, and I think Cannon was the other one that came out first. I might be mistaken. I think those are the original 4 or 5. Yeah. Anyways, I think there was another one. It's been ages since I've looked at Duelist Alliance. Anyways, so this card is really good. The only thing is it locks you into Melodious. This is between the 2 starters. These are both 1-card starters, alongside Refrain. Refrain's also a 1-card starter, but to a lesser extent, because you'd rather not use her right away for the normal summon. But anyways, these are both 2 cards. These are both 1-card starters. They get you full combo. If these resolve, and your opponent doesn't have anything to stop you, you can make a full board of a Magnificat plus a Shuberta, and sometimes more stuff. Especially if you resolve Ostinato, it's ridiculous the kind of boards you can make. And it doesn't look imposing until you actually play against it, and it's like, oh, you can just blink the whole board away. It looks unassuming, but it's actually like rather imposing. Next up, I got 2 Concerto. Some people only play 1 Concerto. I highly disagree with that, because for one thing, if the opponent is on Ygopro in the main deck, which is not all that uncommon, they're going to get rid of this card. And without Concerto, the deck kind of loses its main way of really abusing the pendulum, the fusions and stuff. Granted, that's also why I played a Poly with Tam Tam. So I like having as many ways to access my fusions as possible without having to worry about them, going away. So Concerto, very good card. It lets you fusion summon using your pendulum skills along with monsters in hands and field. And also when one of your Melodiouses that's a fusion monster hits the graveyard, you can bottom deck it to draw a card. It's an amazing fusion spell, but it's a hard once per turn on both effects, and that's always annoyed me. Now, another reason why I play 2 is because I do play 2 Pot of Desires. Now, I'm going to be fully upfront and honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Pot of Desires in this deck, almost to a point where it doesn't even feel like the deck needs it. I've played this so much, and most of the time I don't even see Pot of Desires, and the one time I've seen Pot of Desires in like the past 2 weeks, I played it with a bricked hand of like a Ygopro, which is in my side deck. We're going to look at my side deck here in a minute, along with 2 Ash and a Veiler, and there was a Ygopro, 2 Ash, a Veiler, and then Desires. And I activated Desires, hoping to draw a starter. I did, but I banished both Concertos and both Sopranos and my other level 5 fusion. Not my level 5 fusion, my other couplet. So yeah, I lost that match. That was a given. Banishing all my ways to fusion summon really sucked. I am honestly strongly considering taking out Desires. I've seen some people play Pot Prosperity, I think is what it's called. I can't remember. The one that lets you banish any 6 from your extract and look at the top, whatever. I'm not the biggest fan of that card because this deck is super heavy on its extra deck. And so, like, it just kind of, like, there are some flex spots where you're like, I don't care to banish this. But then you do, and then, like, you're really operating on razor thin margins, and I don't like that. So, anyways, moving on. Let's go to take a look at that extract. And then we'll take a look at the side deck after that. So first and foremost, we got 3 Baka. I like to call it Baka. I know like the correct pronunciation is Baha or whatever. I like to call it Baka because it sounds like I'm calling my opponent stupid whenever I say it. Anyways, Baka here. On summon, just get any Melodious from deck, and then whenever it's in the graveyard, summon any Melodious from graveyard, except herself. And then, while she's on the field, your opponent can't negate, the activated effects of Melodious monsters can't be negated, which is really stupid, but also not as good as you think, because Effect Filler, Ghost Mourner, and Imperm, along with any other, like, full negation effects, does stop this card. Effect Filler, Ghost Mourner, and Imperm all stop Baka. And that's because they negate the entire effect of the card, so that includes negating the effect of this card to prevent negation, which is very annoying and makes her not nearly as good as she sounds. It basically means she only really, like, if you're going first, she only stops, like, she can't be ashed. And she only really stops your opponent from, like, negating, like, with a Palusa and stuff like that. Because a Palusa would negate just that effect. It doesn't negate the whole monster effects. Same thing with, like, Baran and stuff, if Baran was still legal. Basically, anytime a card responds directly to the activated effect and doesn't just blanket negate the entire monster effect. Moving on, I got 2 Shuberta. Shuberta is, like, arguably one of the best fusions in this deck. Actually, like, okay, the core 3 are, like, the best. They're all, like, the best. Baka's the best, like, play starter. Shuberta's one of the most annoying ones to deal with. And then, also so is Magnificat. So, Shuberta, just once per on the field, as a quick effect, you can banish any 3 cards from either player's graveyard. It's literally a triple DD Crow. Oh, and she gains 200 attack for each card banished. So because of that, you can use this during the damage calc. Something that I had opponents forget about twice at my case tournament, which was hilarious because opponent tried running over her with a Diabell Star after getting, like, hand trapped 3 times. That being said, it is only once on the field, but you can do shenanigans like booking her, or more recently, using Magnificat to blink her off the field and then get her back and use her effect again. So Magnificat's a new boss monster, and she's an amazing one. I love her. It also helps that she looks like Yuzu. Like, it's so weird. It's so funny. Oh, jeez. Anyway, so Magnificat here, she's the hardest one to summon, but she's well worth the investment because unlike all the others, which only need 2 monsters, okay, actually there is one other that does need more than 2 monsters, but that's aside the point. But unlike the main ones that do only require 2 monsters, she requires 3, including a Maestra. Now that's not hard at all to do because you got so many ways to fusion summon, so many ways to recur materials, and you can just really just fart out fusions so freaking easily in this deck. It's kind of ridiculous. And God, please give Fluffle the next wave of support in the new set after Rage of the Abyss. Please, Konami, please. I want Fluffle to get this level of support. Anyways, this card is amazing. During your player's turn, at any point, you can just banish your whole field and then bounce as many cards as you banished up to the number. You can also just bounce not enough or nothing. So that's really stupid because if you get Magnificat out, you are unnibiruable. You cannot be nibirued. Anyway, so that's really good. She does have a float effect that people forget about because typically if you banish her, she forgets she got fusion summoned, so then you don't get the effect that she has when she floats, where if she dies, she summons any Melodious from deck or extract. Sometimes because people forget about that, I leave her on the field instead of banishing everything. Unless like I'm getting attacked at towns and they're gonna like steal something. In that case, yeah, I banish her too. But like because people forget about that and then, oh, they gotta deal with a Bloom Diva coming out. So Bloom Diva is the deck's original boss monster and she's a phenomenal one. She's Yubel, except she can't be destroyed in battle or card effects. You take no battle damage from battles involving her. And also, whenever she battles a special summon monster, she destroys destroys that opponent's monster and inflicts the damage difference between that monster's attack and her attack. This card is bonkers, and I love it. She was the deck's original boss monster. She kind of sucks going into a field of no monsters because she's just 1,000. But hey, at least she can ping for damage unlike Yubel can, so there's that at least. And also, yeah, she's just a very good card all around. Very annoying, very obnoxious, very hard for people to get rid of. Especially like if your deck is really not ready for it, because indestructible by battle and card effects really catches people off guard at times, especially if you manage to force out the Underworld Goddess before. Finally, I do play one of the Bloom Prima, Melodious Choir. This is the deck's other kind of sort of like she was intended to be the like game ender. She needs a Melodious Maestra and then one or more fusions to go into. Sorry, one or more Melodious monsters to go into. So theoretically, you can just use 2 monsters to go into, but you want to do more because she gets, let's see here. 300 more attack for each fusion material for its fusion summon. Can make its second attack during each battle phase, and if she's sent to the graveyard, you can target Melodious in the graveyard, add it to hand. She's overall an okay card. She helps go for game and everything now and then. Does not come up too often, and heck, most builds don't even bother playing her. I'll be honest, I've only ever summoned her once, and I realistically didn't need it. I went into her just in case my opponent had a Spirit of Yubel in hand, so I can try to like get around that and get an extra bit of damage. It does come up every now and then, but it's like a once in a blue moon. You can totally cut her and for something else. It's another flex spot. Next, we got 1 Bloom Harmonist, Melodious Composer. On summon, discard a card. Summon 2 Melodious with different names to her zone she points to in defense position. She's a free extender, kinda. She god awful to get Ashed, Villared, or Impermed, but usually if you're going into her, you've already been Ashed, Villared, or Impermed a few other times. So, and also there's ways to like chain block her, because if you go into her using Baka, then you can go Chainlink 1, discard, Baka Chainlink 2, or Chainlink 1 her, Baka Chainlink, Melodious Concerto in graveyard, Chainlink 2, and then Baka Chainlink 3, and you just get so much profit. Like, it's so good. That being said, she's only good as a 1-of. You could play 2 if you really wanted to, again, like, because flex spot, but it's something you don't need. You also can always recur her. 1 Gravity Controller, because this card is really cool. You can, this is why you summon Baka to the extra monster zone, because if she gets negated with like Imperm or something, you just link her off and keep comboing. And then you're like, oh, but I have this stuck in my extra monster zone. Cool, tribute it over. Like, you got multiple level 5s and stuff. You can get rid of it. Next, we got the card I needed on Saturday, Protector of the Agents, Moon. This card has one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to get rid of Skill Drain and other similar cards. You can send, let's see here, the important part is you contribute 1 fairy, target a card your opponent controls, destroy it. It's literally just an extra out to anything. Next, we got Haggard Lizardos, who is kind of similar. You can banish him to drop one of your opponent's monsters to 800 attack and then you draw a card. The biggest thing is if you want to clear the board to make an Ostinato play, you have to kind of do that somehow. So you just make this guy and then you do that and then you get a draw. We got Baguska for certain situations. I'll be honest, he's another flex spot, another card that you can totally cut. I put him in here because a friend of mine who was also on the deck told me that, oh, if you have Baguska out and Baka out, if you use Magnificat's effect while Baguska's out, Baguska can't negate deactivated effects of your fusions if you have Baka out. Now, it just never comes up. It's something that could, and Baguska did help me like stall for a few turns while playing against Vanadium once, and I kind of bricked. It doesn't come up too often. You can totally cut him out for something else if you want to, but he is a good card all around. You guys know how annoying Baguska is. Finally, for the last card in the extract, I have Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel you can make using Sonata plus any of the level 7s, including Shapina and other similar stuff. This card is stupid. You know that. It's just summon it, banish a card, and then you got 3,500 beat stick. It comes up, and it's saved my butt a few times, and because so many people don't do this, it's caught people off guard. And that is everything for the main deck. Now on to the side deck. So for my side deck, I have 3 good old DD Crow. You can't play the Bitchute, so you got to do something about Graveyard, and this card comes up a lot. So yeah, getting rid of those Graveyard effects. 3 drone lock. Funnily enough, I wasn't originally playing drone lock before Saturday, and then a friend of mine was like, "Hey, I've been playing drone lock and it's been doing good." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna put drone lock back in," and it saved my butt multiple times. Then I got Triple Ogre, because there's quite a few people who play Centurion and Horus pile decks at my locals, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this for just in case. It didn't come up. I did side it in against Melodious Chimera, which was one of the decks I played against, but like I didn't see it, so it just wasn't helpful. For the one of, I do play one Elegy, the Melodious Diva, in here. She's like Arya, where while she's on the field after she was special summoned, your Melodious can't be destroyed by card effects. So you can do the Arya Elegy lock. I used to main deck her, I took her out. I'm really tempted to put her back in, but I digress. Very good card for what she does. It just sucks to draw her, and I was trying to cut on dead draws for a big tournament like that. Probably going to go back to her being in the main deck again. Partly so I could play 3 of this instead of 2. Twin Twister. This card is amazing against Snake Eye. Oh my god. The two matches I won against Snake Eye, Twin Twister helped me win the game. One of them, I popped his Skill Drain and his Temple. The other, I blew up his Masquerena and something else he had in the back row. I don't remember what. But, yeah, Twin Twister is something I want to put in here at 3, so I'm really thinking about putting LG back in the main deck as a and then putting the 3 Twin Twister, because this card would have saved my butt in that one game if I played 3. But granted, like these 2, I checked afterwards; they were all the way at the bottom, like together, and that just bugs me. Finally, for my wild card extra deck, side deck card, I got a card that has saved my butt many times, and has come up quite, like way more than like you'd think, and it's really good in this deck, and that is Destructive Dharma Cannon, Karma Cannon. So this card, as you guys know, it Book of Moons everything, and then if any monsters are still face up, they get sent to the graveyard. And this card is really good in this deck because I don't like the prospect of blanking out my whole board with Magnificat and not having another way to defend myself. And I'm like, well, Mirror Force is too old and slow, and it's not going to help all the time. And there's like, a Yasalm Judgment is good too, and could help out at times. And so could D-Barrier. And I'm like looking at all these options, and ultimately I landed on Karma Cannon, specifically because I can use it very defensively, I can use it very aggressively. It's generically good against almost every like other deck, including even Melodious if you hit them at the right time. It's just an overall great card, and I cannot understate just how powerful and annoying it is to Magnificat an opponent's board. They think, okay, cool, they got no more answers. They continue with their plays, and then you Karma Cannon them, and then you get your whole monster lineup back. It's ridiculous. And like, even if like you don't get to land on the Magnificat, if you it can reset it can reset Shuberta. It can help with all that stuff. It's just an amazingly good card for this deck overall. I've been told by some people I should cut it out, but I've been rocking with it. I don't know. I'm just weird like that. Anyways, that is everything for this deck profile. I am sorry this has been a very long one. It's going to take me a while to get back into the swing of things whenever it comes to making deck profiles and being brief with them. But I wanted to gush and talk about this deck and why I play certain cards and what they're good for. There are some other things with this deck that I'm looking at. I've been looking at Score, the Melodious Diva. I think it's a Diva. Anyways, Score is a level 1 Melodious who, whenever your Melodious battles, you can discard it to drop your opponent's monster to 0. I've been looking at the Melodious Cyber Dragon monster. I've been looking at all these different things. I'm trying to really mess around with this deck and everything because I love Melodious. I love Arc V. Arc V was the first Yu-Gi-Oh anime I watched in its entirety from start to finish. And I grew really attached to the characters and their decks in there. Melodious, Odd Eye, Super Heavy, all of that. And I want to see these decks do well, and it makes me so happy seeing Melodious being a genuinely good deck. Hey, I was ecstatic when Raid Raptors were a solid rogue deck for a hot minute a while back, and I really need to find my deck because I want to play it again. I've been getting the urge to play the Raid Raptors. Anyways, so yeah, that's everything. If you have any ideas, comments, or concerns, please leave your comments down below. I do read the comments. I may not always reply, but I do read them. And if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and see you all later. Peace out. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please do consider rating, commenting, and subscribing. Sharing the video helps as well. If you especially really like it, please do consider being a channel member. Every little bit helps out. And hey, also why not check me out on my other social media pages. Thank you and have a great day.